So, Hare Krishna Mataji. Before we start the class, let us take the blessings of the beautiful deities of ISKCON Mangaluru, Sri Sri Radha Govind Ji. Sri Sri Radha Govind Ji ki Jai. So, let's start from Shloka 25, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji, 25.
Yeah. So, section 4, 4.25 to 4.33, what we'll be talking about sacrifices. Sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge. So, this transcendental knowledge is the spiritual knowledge is very important for us. Okay, otherwise if we don't know this knowledge, we will be in ignorance and we think what we are doing is correct, but we don't know the outcome is we are doing so many sins. So what happens if you do more of sins? You'll be more attached to material life, right? Because of which you have to be in the cycle of birth and death. But our main intention is what? We want to get liberated from this miserable material world, right? So for that we need to get that spiritual knowledge. So how we can get that spiritual knowledge? So that's what they're saying in this part. Sacrifices lead to transcendental knowledge. So fruit of all kinds of Vedic sacrifices is transcendental knowledge. So whatever we are doing, any yagna or whatever we are doing is to get transcendental knowledge. So what will happen if you get transcendental knowledge? Depending on that knowledge, you will perform, you'll do whatever action you have to do. That action will lead to what? Liberation and ultimately to pure devotional service. Okay, when you get that knowledge, you start doing devotional service to the Lord. So when you do devotional service to the Lord, you get liberation and ultimately you get pure devotional service. Okay, so these are the different varieties of sacrifices which will be discussed in the coming shlokas. So we'll see one by one. So 4.25. Mataji, can you please try reading, Mataji, the shloka 4.25?
Mataji, sure, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Please.
Shloka 25. Devam iva pare
Yagnam.
yoginaha pariupasate brahmakna vapare yajne naivopa juhvadi.
Hari bol. Wonderful, Mataji. Wonderful. Can you please read the translation also, Mataji?
Okay, yeah. Some yogis perfectly worship the demigods by offering different sacrifices to them, and some offer sacrifices in the fire of the Supreme Brahman. Sacrifice means to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is also known as Yajna. All the different varieties of sacrifice can be placed within two primary divisions, namely sacrifice of worldly possessions and sacrifice in pursuit of transcendental knowledge. Those who are in Krishna consciousness sacrifice all material possessions for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord, while others who want some temporary material happiness sacrifice their material possessions to satisfy demigods such as Indra, the sun god, and other sun god and others and others who are impersonalists sacrifice their identity by emerging into the existence of impersonal Brahman. The demigods are powerful living entities appointed by the Supreme Lord for the maintenance and supervision of all material functions like the heating, watering, and lighting of the universe. Those who are interested in material benefits worship the demigods by various sacrifices according to the Vedic rituals.
Hari bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Krishna Mataji.
Yeah. So what are they saying here in the shloka is the different kinds of sacrifices. So here we are saying one is like who worship the demigods, and who are the second class is who are impersonalists. The people who worship the demigods, they are karmakandis basically. So they are also doing some kind of sacrifice, right? But they don't know that the sacrifice they are doing will lead them to liberation. What will happen if Karmakandi does yagna? He will go to heavenly planets. He will do some yagna, fire sacrifice, with which he will go to heavenly planets. And after his pious karma is over, again he will come back to this material world. Then what is the use of the yagna that he did? So he didn't get the true knowledge. No, so it is just not enough that you do some sacrifice, yagna, but that yagna you should do with some knowledge, true knowledge. So even they will think that I am also doing yagna, right? And they will get liberated because of that. I mean, they will not get liberated, right? So that's why they're saying this transcendental, this knowledge is very important. Okay, just sacrifice with if you do it in ignorance will be more what do you say more it will keep you bound to the material world. Okay, so karmakandis, they want more of heavenly enjoyment, more of enjoyment they want. That is why they do these yagnas, because of which they will get more attached, they'll have more material desires. So this true knowledge, spiritual knowledge is very important. And the other persons are impersonalists. What do they sacrifice? Basically, sacrifice means what? You are giving, a sacrifice means tyaga, right? You are giving something to the demigods or to Lord to get some benefit, right? So what do the impersonalists give? Impersonalists, what do they do? Tyaga of, what do they sacrifice? They sacrifice themselves. We know that the impersonalists, Gnanis, what do? They want to merge in the impersonal Brahman. And what do they think? After merging into the impersonal Brahman, they lose their identity. They don't have their individuality. They merge into the impersonal Brahman and they become one with God. So what are they sacrificing? They are sacrificing themselves. So after liberation, they will have no individuality. So they are giving themselves as sacrifice. Okay, so such kind of sacrifice is of no use. Okay, where you will be, what do the Gnanis do? They do mental speculation. They read all these Vedas, Upanishads, and they're just mentally speculating. Oh, it could be like this, it could be like that. So they don't know what is true because they don't have a guru to guide them, right? So they keep speculating. It could be like this, it could be like that. Because these Gnanis, they think they're very intelligent. So they think that I don't need a guru, I can understand, I can read all the books myself, I can practice, I can do everything. And they think, okay. And they try to speculate this, like this, like this. And finally, what they do, meditating. And when at the time of leaving their body, what do they think? They think that they create their own philosophy. Right? They think that after their death, they go and merge. For them, liberation is they go and merge into the impersonal Brahman, and they lose their individuality. They become one with God. Okay, so such kind of thing is also not expected. Okay, so that's what they're saying. Different people without knowledge, without that true knowledge, they do whatever comes to their mind. But if you do sacrifice with knowledge, you will get the true benefit. Okay, so let's go to the next shloka. Mataji, 26. Mataji, can you please read? Mataji, you're on mute, I think. Mataji, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. You're not able to hear you, Mataji. Any network issue, Mataji?
Oh, sorry. Now only I have unmuted. Mataji, this is 25 now.
This is 25.
They now this see the
Oh,
above.
same. Yeah, same repetition. Sorry, Mataji.
No.
So we'll just read whatever is given. So
Ah.
sacrifice means to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is also known as Yagna. So generally, why do we do yagnas? To satisfy Vishnu. The sacrifice can be placed within two primary divisions. Now, namely, sacrifice of worldly possessions and sacrifice in pursuit of transcendental knowledge. So generally, why do we do sacrifice? Okay, I mean, what like we sacrifice our worldly positions, right? Or what we do, sacrifice in pursuit of transcendental knowledge. Okay, for to get transcendental knowledge, what is it that we give? What is the sacrifice that we give? Besides worldly positions, what else can we give? Okay, so that we'll see. Those who are in Krishna consciousness sacrifice all material positions for the sacrifice of the Supreme Lord. Okay, but a person who is in Krishna consciousness, he gives everything, all the material positions, everything, including himself also, in the service of the Lord. Those who want some temporary material happiness sacrifice their material positions to satisfy demigods such as Indra and the sun god. So we saw, right, these karmakandis, they because they want heavenly they want to go to heavenly planets. What do? They sacrifice the material positions. So what they give to perform the yagna, we need ghee, right? So all that it requires money. We need grains, whatnot. We need, right, for to perform that yagna. So they give their money. Okay, whatever is required for that, just for the temporary material happiness. So impersonalists, what do they sacrifice? They sacrifice their identity by merging into the existence of impersonal Brahman. We saw that, right? The demigods are powerful living entities that maintain and supervise the supply of heating, watering, and lighting facilities of the universe. So earlier we discussed, right, who are demigods? They are also living entities, but because Krishna has given them some extra powers so that they can run this universe. Okay, so it's the duty Krishna has given them. That's why he's given them some special powers so that they can do their duty very nicely. In the Those interested in material benefits worship the demigods by various sacrifices according to the Vedic rituals. They are called Bahu Ishwaravadi, or believers in many gods. Okay, so these people, because they want material benefits fast, they worship these demigods. Okay, they are called Bahu Ishwara. So they believe in many gods. So they Monday they go to one particular deity, Tuesday they go to Hanuman, Wednesday they go to Saraswati, Thursday they go to Lord Venkateshwara. Like that, they believe in many gods. They go to Durga, like that, Ganesha, like that. Okay, so for their material benefits, depending on each god, they go to that particular god. So those who worship the impersonal feature of the absolute truth and regard the forms of the demigods as temporary sacrifice their time in philosophical speculation to understand the transcendental nature of the Supreme. For them, altar of sacrifice is the Supreme Brahman, and the offering is the self being consumed by the fire of Brahman. So we saw, right, for an impersonalist, for him, what is he himself, he sacrifices and he merges into impersonal Brahman. Okay, now this is just like a PPT showing all the sacrifices chart. Okay, this is just the gist that we are going to cover. See, now sacrifices are mainly of the, if you see on the left hand side, you see primary divisions of sacrifices. So sacrifice of, we discussed, right, worldly possessions, and sacrifice in pursuit of transcendental knowledge. Okay, and right side you see what is the aim of sacrifices. So aim of sacrifices is one, but varieties differ superficially. See, why does somebody sacrifice something? Their aim, their goal is one only, but varieties differ. They do some sacrifice to get something, correct? But variety in the end result is different, but varieties differ superficially. So, what are those varieties? We'll see. They are also doing sacrifice, but what is it that they are getting in the end? Okay, that we'll see. Different categories of sacrifices by different types of performers only superficially demark the varieties. Okay, so we'll see what are the different categories and what are the sacrifices that they do in the below last demigod worshippers, impersonalists, that we'll discuss. But factual aim of all sacrifices is to satisfy the Supreme Lord Vishnu, who is known as Yagna. So even though we are giving a sacrifice to the demigods, who is the ultimate Yagnapati? It is Vishnu. It has to first, even though it appears that it is going to some Indra or Chandra or Surya, it actually first goes to Vishnu, who is the Yagnapati. From that, it comes to whomever demigod, then they accept. Okay, so finally that we have to know. Okay, now comparison of various sacrifices. So these are the different types of sacrifice. We saw demigod worshippers, right? They sacrifice what? Material positions for material enjoyment. We saw that. So they worship whom? Demigods for various material benefits and are called Bahu Ishvaravadi. So they believe in many gods. We saw this. Okay, so they sacrifice their material positions to get the ultimate heavenly comforts, enjoyment, or happiness. Okay, so that is their end result. They are also doing sacrifice. So what are they giving? They're giving material position, but the end, what do they want? Enjoyment. They want happiness. Okay, material happiness. That is temporary happiness. Okay, so this is done out of ignorance. They don't know. Okay, they don't have the true knowledge, true spiritual knowledge, they don't have. They just do sacrifice. See, sacrifice with true knowledge, if you do, you get purified. So, sacrifice, if you do in ignorance, it becomes sinful. Okay, and because you're in that ignorance, you think that whatever I'm doing is right. I mean, even though karma kandis, they are following the Vedas, but they are getting, I mean, like once that punya is over, they will again have to come back to this Martya Loka, this earthly planet. Okay, but if they want to get liberated, that will not help them, right? They need true knowledge, spiritual knowledge, not material knowledge that is given in the Vedas, right? So that is not required. Next category, impersonalists. So sacrifices own self into fire altar of Supreme Brahman. They regard the forms of demigods as temporary. Sacrifice their sacrifice their material designations and their individual existence by merging into the existence of Supreme, and sacrifice their time in philosophical speculation. So these impersonalists, we discussed that they want to merge into the impersonal Brahman, and they want to, what do you say, lose their existence. So that is what they are sacrificing. Okay, they sacrifice their time in philosophical speculation. So they waste their time in all this argument because they don't have a correct person to guide them, like a guru or somebody. So they keep wasting their time in all this philosophical speculation. It could be like this, it could be like that. And they come to their own conclusion and they say that God is impersonal. So we want to merge into the impersonal and we lose our existence. So that is what these people think. Okay, but the final one, see, they're saying Krishna conscious devotee, he is the perfect yogi or first class mystic yogi. What will he do? What sacrifice he will do? So sacrifices all material positions and own self for, and himself also, for Krishna's satisfaction. So he gives all his material positions, himself, for Krishna's satisfaction. Like how Arjuna, he sacrificed everything for the satisfaction of Krishna, even though he didn't want to fight. Just because Krishna said you fight, he went and fought. Okay, so Arjuna is a first class yogi. So without, yeah, he's a first class yogi. So that is what we have to understand. So he is a perfect first class mystic yogi who practices Krishna conscious. So he gives himself, his possessions to Krishna. Because of performing this devotional service, what will happen? He will become liberated and he will go back to Godhead. So that is the true knowledge. Okay, so sacrifice plus true knowledge will give you purification. So sacrifice plus ignorance, you will be more materially attached. Okay, so that is what is said in the next shloka. See, if you are in ignorance, see, that's what they're saying. There is no happiness without sacrifice. So that sacrifice, that you have to know. Many people, they don't do sacrifice at all. Okay, so they don't sacrifice and they just they live in ignorance. Okay, I'll show you the version. Okay, so in ignorance, people think happiness comes without sacrifice. So this ignorance, in this ignorance, they what happened? They just are so much attached in all this material things, desires, everything. I only want. This is for my sense gratification. So this ignorance, when they don't do perform yagna, it I mean, like they think whatever I am doing is right, and they get more and more attached, materially attached. So I want this. This is for me. This is for me. She is my wife. He is my husband. They're my children. They should go to the best school. So we think like that. We do all anything and everything so that we get the best comforts. Okay. So if you seek enjoyment without yagna, what happens? It leads to sinful reactions. Okay. So these reactions, what happens? Forces the soul to take repeated birth and death. Okay. That's why you should not be in ignorance. See, that's why Krishna is saying, see, sacrifice plus true knowledge gives purification. So, sacrifice plus ignorance gives deeper entanglement. Okay, and doing that yagna also, I gave you the example of Karma Kandi, right? He is also doing yagna, sacrifice. A Krishna conscious devotee is also doing sacrifice, but which is beneficial for us? When you get that true spiritual knowledge, what happens? You get purified. But if you do in ignorance, like how the karma kandis do, they do yagna for the demigods, they are in ignorance. Though temporarily it looks like they're getting, after they die, they go to heavenly planets and they finish their good karma and they have to again come back to this planet. Again, they have to suffer. So they'll be moving in the cycle of birth and death. So that's why they're saying you should do sacrifice with true knowledge. It gives purification. Okay, even in Brahma, what initially when he was created, when he came from the Navi, from the navel of the Lord, lotus navel of the Lord, he didn't know what to do, where to go, what to do. Nothing he knew. So he was roaming here and there and there. If he could see anybody, because Brahma is the first living entity, right? Who was born. So he's searching everywhere. Who will guide me? Nobody I can see. He goes here, there. Everything is so dark. He's not able to find anything. So then finally, after some time, a voice, he hears a voice which says, Tapa, Tapa. Tapa means what? Perform austerity. So then Brahma does this tapasya. Okay, then he understands from doing that tapa, he gets true knowledge and happiness. So he understands. That's why when you do sacrifice, so he did that tapasya, right? That is sacrifice for how many times? For many thousands of divya, I mean, like devatas years, he did the tapa. So that sacrifice he did. So when he did that, he got true knowledge and happiness, and not through like the karma kandis or like mental speculation like the jnanis. Okay, so that point we have to understand. Okay, so all sacrifices must be performed with the knowledge, say that true knowledge of their purpose and goal. Okay, so Mataji, can you please read the 26th shloka?
Sure, Mataji.
Yeah, please.
Hare Krishna. Shloka 26. Shrotra अफीनीन्द्रियाणि अन्ये आयम् अग्निषु जुह्वति
Amyam. Samyama
Samyama Agnishu Juhvadi Shabdadi Vishayan Anya Indriyagnishu Juhvadi. Shall I repeat again, Madaji?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Shrotra Adinindriyani Anye Samyama Agnishu Juhvati Shabdadi Vishayan Anya Indriyagnishu Juhvati.
Hari bol. Perfect, Mataji. Thank you so much. Please read the translation, Mataji.
Okay, sure. Some the unadulterated brahmacharis sacrifice the hearing process and the senses in the fire of mental control, and others, the regulated householders, sacrifice the objects of the senses in the fire of the senses.
Krishna. Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Thank you.
Yeah. So here, what are they telling? What do the brahmacharis and the regulated householders sacrifice? They are telling here. So what do the brahmacharis they sacrifice? They sacrifice the hearing process and the senses. So these brahmacharis, they don't hear all these material songs, all the material, news, movies, TV serials. They don't listen to all that. And senses also, they don't see the movies and all. They don't indulge in all these material things. So that is what they're sacrificing. Okay, so they only want to listen to Krishna Katha. Okay, the brahmacharis, what do? They do Krishna Katha and devotional service to Krishna. So that is what they are giving. And what do the householders, grihasthas, they do? What are they sacrificing? The objects of the senses. How? See, the grihasthas, though they have license for sex life, it's not that they can do how many ever times sex life they want, they can do. No. Even they have, per the Shastras, it is regulated. So they have to sacrifice that. So they do that. They sacrifice that. Okay. They sacrifice the objects of the senses. So they control their desires. Okay. So let's see what in detail it is being said. The members of the four divisions of human life, namely the brahmachari, the grihastha, the vanaprastha, and the sannyasi, all are meant to become perfect yogis or transcendentalists. Okay. So, since human life is not meant for our enjoying sense gratification like the animals, the four orders of human life are so arranged that one may become perfect in spiritual life. Okay. The brahmachari students, under the care of bona fide spiritual master, control the mind by abstaining from sense gratification. A brahmachari hears only words concerning Krishna consciousness. So he doesn't listen to anything material, be it movies or politics or anything. He's not interested. Only he wants to hear about Krishna consciousness. And therefore, the brahmachari engages fully in Harer Namanu Kirtanam, chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord. He restrains himself from the vibrations of material sounds, and his hearing is engaged in the transcendental sound vibration of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay, so like this, a brahmachari, he sacrifices all the material sounds. He's away from all that material. Only Krishna consciousness. Okay, for Krishna consciousness. Now, what do the grihasthas give up? Give up means what do they sacrifice? Okay, so the grihastha householders who have some license for sense gratification perform such acts with great restraint. Marriage on the principles of religious life is therefore current in all civilized human society because that is the way for restricted sex life. So this is also a kind of yagna because the restricted householder sacrifices his general tendency towards sense enjoyment. So he gives up this, he does regulated sex life. So he restricts his sex life, okay, by controlling his senses. Okay, so that is a sacrifice for them. Okay, so that is what they sacrifice. Grihasthas, we saw grihasthas and brahmacharis, right? So we saw demigods, we saw impersonalists, These are brahmachari, these are grihasthas. Now let's go to the next one. Okay. So Mataji, can you please read 27th shloka, Mataji?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare,
Shloka 27.
please.
Hare Krishna. Shloka 27. Sarvanindriya karmani prana karmani cha apare atma samyama yogaknau juhvadi jnana deepite.
Hari bol, yeah, perfect, Mataji. I think we don't need any classes from tomorrow, Mataji. Wonderful. Yeah,
Thank you, Mataji. We have recited in the class, that's why, Mataji.
But you are very wonderful, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. So please read the translation also, Mataji.
Okay, Mataji, sure. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control, I can't read it. Control of the mind and
Senses.
senses offer the
Functions, Mataji.
functions of all the senses and of the breath as obtain
Oblations, Mataji.
oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Okay.
No problem, Mataji. I can understand, Mataji. Please don't worry about that. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. So what are they talking about? Those who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses, what do? What do they give? They give the senses and the life breath as an offering. So they sacrifice what? The function of all the senses and the life breath. That is what we'll see here. Okay. So in the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, the soul is called Pratyak Atma. So actually what it means is, like, basically when we try to understand this 27th sloka, here they are trying to say that Prabhupada explains that initially when the soul accepts a body and it comes to this material world, the soul thinks it is this body. Okay, the soul does not think I am separate from the body. It thinks I am the body when it comes to the material world because of that curtain of Maya. Okay, and then it focuses on all these external objects. So that's why we get all these material desires. And because of these, to get all these material desires solved, we work like donkeys. The more we work, the more desires the more we have to fulfill. That's why we get entangled in this material world because of attachment to all this name, fame, wealth, money, right? All these we get attached, and we are, because of these material desires, we are roaming in this material world. But however, when the focus of this soul, when it understands that it is spiritual, it is separate from the body. If it understands I am separate from this body, then it can attain that higher level of consciousness. Till the time the soul thinks I am this body, it will make us engage in all this sense gratification. But the day it gets this true knowledge, okay, that the soul is spiritual, I mean, it is transcendental, it gets the spiritual knowledge, it understands that it is spiritual in nature and that soul and the body is separate. So we know now, right? At least theoretically we know. So we understand, the living entity understands that soul is different and body is different. At least now we know. Earlier, maybe before we came to Krishna consciousness, we thought we were just this body. But at least theoretically now we know. The living entity knows that the soul, it knows that we are separate and the body is separate. Then it will attain that higher level of consciousness. So the living entity understands now that the body is different and the soul is different. Okay, that is what they are trying to say in this shloka now. So let's see what further they're saying. So in the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, the soul is called Pratyak Atma. and Parag Atma. So, what is the difference between Pratyag Atma and Parag Atma? We'll see. As long as the soul is attached to sense enjoyment, it is called Parag Atma. Means what? The soul thinks it's the body. Okay, earlier that's what we used to think, right? We are the body and we used to do only sense gratification, our own sense gratification. So, as long as the soul is attached to sense enjoyment, it is called Paragatma. Okay, now soul detached from sense enjoyment. Now, the soul, because of the true knowledge, if it comes to know that it is separate from the body, okay, and then that time it is called Pratyag Atma. Okay, the soul understands I am separate, the body is separate. Okay, so that is called Pratyag Atma. Okay, so it means that now the soul is realized, it understood. Okay, so how does it come to that understanding? That process is given in the next step, the Patanjali system of yoga. How do they do it? So, Patanjali system of yoga instructs how to control the functions of the body's air so that ultimately favorable for purifying the soul of material attachment. Okay, according to this yoga system, Pratyag Atma is the ultimate goal. So, Pratyag Atma is the ultimate goal, means we have to know that we are soul and not the body. So, that is the final goal. Okay, so this Pratyag Atma is withdrawn from activities in matter. So, what they do to the soul is, it detaches itself from all material activities. Okay, so the senses, the senses generally, what they do, senses, they interact with the sense objects. It feels like hearing music, the filmy music, or it feels like going to the restaurant and eating. Eyes want to see movies, nose for smelling something, tongue for tasting restaurant food, or not, it wants to do, hand for touching something not wanted to, not needed to touch. And like this, all of them are engaged in activities outside the self, means outside the soul. So the body does all these sense gratification. Okay, so they are called the functions of prana vayu. Okay, enlightenment is engaging I. So when you get enlightenment is what? Engaging I. So this knowledge in searching for self-realization. Okay, so what is the starting stage? Starting stage is called Parag Atma, means where you think, the soul thinks you are the body and it does own sense gratification, because of which we are entangled. But when the soul understands that he and the body are different, that highest stage, this is after self realization. Okay, that is Pratyag Atma. Okay, and the process of Patanjali system is, what do they do to come to that stage? They withdraw all the activities in matter. That's what they're saying. That is what they do. That they do something called pranavayu. Okay, so finally they come to that stage of Pratyag Atma, where the soul understands that I am soul and I am separate from the body. I am not this body. Okay, so that is the thing. So let's go to shloka number 28. Mataji, can you please read, Mataji, recite?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, please.
Shloka 28. Yajnastapoyajna yoge, sorry, Dravya yajnas tapo yajna yoga yajnas tatha pare swadhyaya jnana
Swadhyaya, Mataji. Swadhyaya.
swadhyaya jnana yajnascha
Yagnash.
yajnascha yadayah samshita vrataha.
Hari bol, Hari bol. Thank you so much, Mataji. Can you please read the translation also, Mataji?
Having accepted strict vows, some become enlightened by sacrificing their possessions, and others by performing severe austerities by practicing the yoga of eightfold mysticians or by studying the Vedas to advance in transcendental knowledge.
Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. So now what are they saying? Some people, when they come to know about this sacrifice, the true sacrifice, what is true, when they get that true knowledge. So what do they do? They sacrifice not, one second, Mataji. Not true knowledge, but some people, what do they do? Okay, they sacrifice their possessions, their material possessions, be it money or whatever in something, whatever they can, but what they have earned. So they sacrifice their positions, and some other, how do they sacrifice? By performing severe austerities. We do tapasyas, right? Like one of our, it is not like severe austerity, but we do Ekadasi, right? We fast on Ekadasis. We on Janmashtamis we fast, and on auspicious appearance day of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Narsimhadev, we do fasting till 7 o'clock, even without drinking water, right? Yeah. So these are some sacrifice that. Okay, and some people, by practicing how the yoga, Ashtanga yoga, we've read, we'll be reading. Actually, in L1, you must have heard, Mataji, yoga of eightfold mysticism. So they do all kind of exercises. So that is one way they sacrifice. Okay, some people by studying the Vedas, they want to. So they do all this to advance in transcendental knowledge. So to get that knowledge, they do all this sacrifice. Okay, so now let's see what Prabhupada says in the purport. See, some persons sacrifice their possessions in the form of various kinds of charities. Example, we see, right? Dharmashala, Annakshetra, Atitishala, Anadhalaya, Vidyapita. So we see, right? Many people, they donate their money to these hospitals, old age homes, guest houses, anathalaya, all these we see, right, to educations, all these they donate. Okay, so and they give annadana also they do. So providing education and medical treatment free to the poor. So these are charitable activities are called dravyamaya yagna. Okay, so this is the sacrifice that they do. They give what they have, money, to all these people. So they're sacrificing their possessions. Okay, why? For higher. Because when you give something to for the benefit of somebody, you get punya, right? So if you get punya, you'll go to higher planets, heavenly planets. Yeah, that is the main intention here. So for higher elevation, higher planets, austerities, Chandrayana or Chaturmasya. So they do, if you want to go to higher planets, you can, some austerities examples are given, Chandrayana and Chaturmasya. Okay, so these are like strict, you have some certain rules and regulations to follow on Chaturmasya and Chandrayana. So for example, in Chaturmasya, what they do? The vow, the candidate does not shave for 4 months during the year. July to October. He does not eat certain foods, does not eat twice a day, or does not leave home. So, such sacrifice of the comforts of life is called Tapomaya Yagna. So, some people they do this kind of yagna. Okay, so they follow all these different kinds of Chaturmasya or Chandrayana. Okay, Chandrayana vow on the 12th day of the lunar fortnight. This is also the same like Chaturmasya. So you have to do some kind of austerity. So they are sacrificing that. Now some engage themselves in different kinds of mystic yogas. Ashtanga yoga we've seen, right? Hatha yoga or Ashtanga yoga. They do all kinds of exercise, upside down, twisting, turning. So that is what they sacrifice to get that true knowledge. Okay. Some travel to places of pilgrimage. we see many people, they keep traveling on pilgrimage, okay, to purify themselves, right? So that is one way of sacrificing. They just go on all these pilgrim tours. Some engage themselves in the studies of different Vedic literatures, the Upanishads, the Vedanta Sutras, Sankhya philosophy, etc. Swadhyaya Yagna, or engagement in the sacrifice of studies. So they sacrifice what they're always reading. Okay, to get that true knowledge, they read the Upanishads, Vedanta Sutras, the Sankhya philosophy. Okay, they do all this. So there's the sacrificing this, the study of the Vedas. Okay, next, all these yogis are faithfully engaged in different types of sacrifice and are seeking a higher status of life. Okay. 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 So all these yogas are faithfully engaged in different types of sacrifice and are seeking a higher status of life. So all these people, they are just trying to do sacrifice so that they get punya and they go to higher status of life. Okay. Either from there in the material world or could be even after their death. So Krishna consciousness, see the direct service of the Supreme Lord. So till now we were just looking at the sacrifice in ignorance. They are just doing it so that they can go to a higher level. But in Krishna consciousness, the direct service of the Supreme Lord, Krishna consciousness cannot be attained by any one of the above mentioned types of sacrifice. So all those above sacrifices are totally different. And this is the thing that is required for us. That's what they're saying. So above mentioned types of sacrifice, but can be attained only by the mercy of the Lord. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is transcendental. So they're saying what we have read till now is one type, but this Krishna consciousness is another type. Okay, and this can be attained only by the mercy of the Lord. Okay, that's why Krishna is transcendental, right? So that's why Krishna consciousness is transcendental. So that's why they're saying when you do devotional service, when you get that true knowledge, then you understand that, then you start doing Krishna consciousness, you start doing devotional service. So you start doing chanting. So you start reading, you start hearing, you do seva in the temple, right? By doing all this, what is happening? You are getting purified. The more you get purified, the more you get a taste for Krishna consciousness. You develop a love for Krishna. Okay, that is what we want, right? So that is true knowledge. When we develop love of Krishna, after liberation, we go back to Krishna and serve Krishna there eternally, face to face. Okay, so that is a true knowledge that is required. Okay, so sacrifice plus true knowledge gives purification, but sacrifice in ignorance causes bonding. Okay, like that. Did we read this, Mataji? We didn't read this, right?
No, Mataji, we have read till 28.
Okay, so shall we take this one shloka, Mataji, and then
Can you please read it for me?
I'll only read it, Mataji,
No,
but you
because...
can read it tomorrow, Mataji. Okay, I'll just read it today.
Okay, please. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. So, yeah, thank you, Mataji. Hari Krishna. So 4.29. अपाने जुह्वति प्राणं प्राणे अपानं तथा परे प्राणानाप प्राणापान गतिरुद्ध्वा प्राणायामपरायणः नाह अपरे नियताहाराः प्राणान् प्राणेषु जुह्वति. So, translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Still others who are inclined to the process of breath restraint to remain in trance. Practice by offering the movement of the outgoing breath into the incoming and the incoming breath into the outgoing, and thus at last remain in trance, stopping all breathing. Others, curtailing the eating process, offer the outgoing breath into itself as a sacrifice. So this is nothing but, you all must be familiar, you all must be knowing pranayama, right? Where we control our breathing process in for some time, out through one nostril, like that we do. Okay, so all of these processes are recommended for controlling the senses and for advancement in spiritual realization. So why are we controlling the senses and the mind? Okay, only if the mind is steady, then only you can do spiritual practice, right? If the mind is jumping here and there, you can't practice spirituality. So that's why all these above processes we saw, right? Everybody is trying to control their mind and senses. Okay, so we've seen different ways how they are trying to control their mind and senses. Okay, so this pranayama is also one way where you can control the mind and the senses. Okay, so okay, we'll stop here, and tomorrow we'll start from 4.30, but we'll sloka recitation we'll start from 4.29. Mataji. Yeah.
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji.